Welcome. My name's Kevin, and this is the Bible Artist Podcast. And I'd like to thank Kirk Woller for joining me today as our guest. You probably know him best from his role as Gaius, a Roman centurion in The Chosen, but he's a truly prolific actor. He's been in dozens of popular movies and television shows. On his filmography, I saw X-Files, CSI, 24, Criminal Minds, Minority Report, Flight Plan. So Kirk, before we kind of dig into The Chosen and Gaius, which will kind of be our focus, I'd love to hear just what drew you into acting and what you've enjoyed about that work over the past few decades.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me, Kevin. It's really an honor and a blessing to be here. Thank you very much. Let's see, where did it start? My third grade teacher, I'll try to make this short, but my third grade teacher, I have no idea why, decided to make me the lead of the classroom play when I was in third grade, so I was 8. I have no idea why, but I memorized the lines at home. My mom helped me run the lines. I ended up memorizing them, and then I did it, and I got so into it. And then later, fellow classmates were like, wow, you were really good. That was nice. And so it was the first time, I think, other than mom and dad, somebody went, hey, good job. So I think it hit me there, but then it disappeared until I was basically disappeared more or less until I was 25. I have an undergraduate degree in business and marketing. I was the class president of my business school at Cal State University Hayward, which is now Cal State East Bay. I won all these President's Service Awards. I started a television show. I started a radio show. But a television sort of interview type show kind of thing, like Entertainment Tonight, but for the university. And it was there as I got closer to graduation. I had a job offer from Clorox to basically sell bleach. And I was like, I just can't do this. So I moved back to Seattle, where I'm from, and I started over. And I just started. I took private acting classes from a woman named Pat French. I joined a dance company. I was doing modern dance all over Seattle. I was everywhere and anything I could do artistically, theater, dance, taking jazz, hip hop classes. I just did as much as I possibly could. A few years later, I landed at this place called North Seattle Community College. Diane Hostetler, she decided to make me leads of the college plays, and after a couple of years of that, she said, you need to audition for the URDAs. And I said, what's that? And she said, the Urban League Resident Theater Association. So it's basically all the best acting schools in the country go down to San Diego, and you go down there and you have a dramatic monologue and a comedic monologue, and it's all legitimate, big schools, and you go from room to room at a hotel and you do the 2 monologues. And so I drove all the way down from Seattle, did the 2 monologues, and then got 2 offers, full-time scholarships to Rutgers University in New York under Bill Esper, who was a protege of Sanford Meisner, and then the FSU Oslo Conservatory Professional Actor Training in Florida, which is where I decided to go because they had an angel program, which means they gave me money to live, so I wouldn't have to do anything but be in the conservatory. So it was a 2-year MFA program. Like maybe we had 1 month off in between Shakespeare, Shaw, Chekhov, Moliere, the classics, movement, diction, you name it, we went through it. And then there was a film school that was attached to this particular entity, and I started doing a little bit of films there. Almost done with this story. After graduating that, I moved back to Seattle briefly, and then was invited to train with Sanford Meisner. I don't know if you know who that is. Have you ever heard of Sanford Meisner?
He's kind of like a big acting instructor.
Yeah, he's like in the 30s in New York City, there was a group, it was called the Group Theater. And anyways, a whole bunch of people that were tired of the big, performance type stuff.
Yeah.
And so the grandfather of the acting that I think most of us know today was from Konstantin Stanislavski, who was from the Moscow Art Theater in Russia. So they convinced Stanislavski to meet them in Paris. A whole bunch of them met in Paris, and they said, teach us what you do. And also Anton Chekhov was a part of that group too. And so then they came back to America, New York City, and four major factions, ideologies from that teaching came into being. The first is Lee Strasberg, known for the method acting.
Okay.
That was Lee Strasberg. Then it was Uta Hagen, Stella Adler, and then Sanford Meisner. The best I could look up a list. You would not believe the actors that Sanford Meisner has trained. Everyone from Robert Duvall to Sandra Bullock. I mean, like this Steve McQueen, Marlon Brando for a time, Geraldine Page. I mean, the list is insane. So I had the great fortune of training with him. So I came to Los Angeles. I did that. I came for a month-long intensive, and then after that intensive, it was every day. He invited me to stay, and so he usually did the summer program in Beckwith, but this was the first time he did it in Los Angeles. So anyway, I stayed with Sanford Meisner for 5 years up until his death, and we started the Sanford Meisner Center for the Arts. We were doing theater in Los Angeles, winning theater pick of the week and all that sort of thing. And it was there that I got my first agent and just started auditioning and haven't stopped since. Thanks for indulging me. That was a long story.
Oh no, this is really like educational for me because I don't have a ton of knowledge of kind of the the different kind of factions of theater and like kind of the history there. So it's really interesting to just kind of see how it sounds like things have kind of trickled down from like kind of that initial kind of crossover that you were describing.
Stanislavski, and then those four people emerged as they all saw it differently, and they all expanded and or not changed, but all heard. It's just a perfect example of life. I say something, and you ask four people what I said. Every person is going to hear something different. But I aligned with Sanford Meisner because it was about the use of your imagination. It was about living in the moment. It was about watching the behavior of the other actor, and it wasn't filled with me. If I'm doing a scene with you, I'm going to watch your behavior, and based on your behavior, you're going to tell me how I'm going to say my lines. Because I work off of your behavior, so it's always present, it's always organic, and it trains you to work from yourself, not an idea of what a character should be. So anyway, I could talk for hours about that kind of stuff, but anyway, I trained with him, and it was great.
So I kind of was looking up some stuff about you, and I saw you've got you do kind of actor coaching and mentoring, and you've got something called the Woller technique. So I'm guessing this is kind of a little bit of what you go through with the different actors that you train. This started in 2019. I had this great idea of online acting classes. Okay, no one was perfect timing.
Well, no one was doing it.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's all these amazing actors that you don't work every day as an actor, but they have all this skill like me, graduate school and classically trained. And my idea was to hook them up with people who wanted to be actors. Bezos, what did he do? There's been people making stuff and selling stuff forever. He just got it to my door in 2 days. His contribution is fulfillment. And then when you look at Uber, people needed a ride and there are people to give you a ride. So he just made an app. So my ideology, I guess, from the business background is I'm going to set up a platform, my working actor friends, and set them up with whoever wants to learn how to be actors online. And you learn from the source in a mentorship style, not from somebody who says they can do it, but somebody who's doing it and making a living at it. And that's where it started. And then I opened the doors in 2020. 2 months later, COVID hit, and every acting teacher on planet Earth was now teaching on Zoom. So my innovative idea went out the window, and I never wanted to mentor, but then Dallas Jenkins, the creator and director of The Chosen, we have been friends and working together for 25 years, and he made a post, and somebody said, no, I want to train with you. So I said, I'm not doing that. But then I said, let me think about it, please. And anyway, I started it. I love it. I've been doing it for 3.5 years. So yes, Sanford Meisner is definitely part. I have a buddy of mine who's I don't know, this is going to sound pretentious, but he is a millionaire and runs a very successful school and other things. He says, you got to call it something. He goes, how about the Woller technique? And I go, do you have any idea how presumptuous and arrogant that sounds? The Woller technique? Are you serious? He goes, dude, it's branding, it's marketing. I'm going, what the hell is that? And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I finally said, okay, but what it really is, the technique is from two of my main mentors, Sanford Meisner, another guy named Alan Vint. And then the third thing, if you think of a triangle, Sanford Meisner, Alan Vint, and I came up with this thing that I call a sequential roadmap, which is basically knowing what everything means to you and why. 90% of acting is defining what something means to you and why. And so that's what I pass on to my students, and I love it. And my students are now starting to work. I'm on The Chosen, which is very, very exciting, and other avenues, other shows. And so I never thought I would do it, but here I am doing it, and I love it. So thanks for asking.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you've worked with Dallas Jenkins for like 20 years. I'd seen that
25.
you guys worked on the Resurrection of Gavin Stone, but even before that, you guys.
Yeah, 2000.
Wow.
His first film was a film called Hometown Legend, starring Lacey Chabert and Terry O'Quinn is in the film, and Terry O'Quinn is a head football coach, and I'm the assistant football coach. Dallas was producer on that film, but didn't direct it. But slowly but surely started to direct. So yeah, basically, you can look it up. I've been in everything he's done, basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And
he's
so,
such a loyal and great human being. I love him dearly, always will. Love his wife, his kid. I saw all their kids be born. Sammy D. Samuel Jenkins is now like 25 or something. He works as an AD on the show. Anyway, it's like kind of like a family thing. But we were doing projects. Let me tell you something about Dallas. We were doing projects. We always wanted to do content that made a difference potentially. I know that sounds presumptuous, but great stories, healthy environment, and just great work. And we were making short films where no one was paying attention. And then in 2018, The Chosen started, and now everybody knows him. But he's been doing this for 20. He's like a 25-year overnight sensation. So
yeah,
that's the happiest thing about The Chosen for me is seeing his success and what that means to him and his family.
Yeah, I suppose like that. Sometimes that's the game in Hollywood is like you kind of just patiently invest and kind of do your thing, and then eventually something finally kind of hits and you.
Yeah, I think the mentality is, you never know. I think what I'm always passing along to my students is, look, I am not, trust me, the most talented guy. As I was going through all that I described, every single place, there were people that were way more talented than I was. I just never gave up. I was the jerk that had a short memory, and somebody told me I was bad. I just went, okay, whatever. And I just go back to work. And so really what it is it's a discipline. It's a craft. I get up every day and still do to perfect what it is I do. And I take it very seriously. And I think that's why I make a living at it, is because of that hard work and discipline, because it's passion, and hard work will always beat out talent, in my opinion. You just got to work hard, man. And that's really all I've done. There's really phenomenal actors. I'll tell you, boy, these people act circles around me, but I'm still doing it. So I'm grateful.
Yeah. It's kind of like the 10,000 hours, or like with writing, they say, you have to get like, I don't know if it's 1,000 or 10,000 bad pages before you get like kind of hit your stride. And
But so many I have a 16-year-old son, and it's something I'm passing along to him. Is like we live in a day and age where everybody wants it now.
Mm,
You have Instagram, everybody instantaneous gratification. I suppose that might be an oversimplification, but like you got to work your butt off
mm,
for anything that you
mm,
want to achieve in life. And my son is basically a young physicist, and so but he's like dogged determination. He's going
mm,
after it. He studies all the time. He really takes it seriously, and
mm,
that's what succeeds, in my opinion.
mm,
It's the person who works really hard and who can remain quiet in the middle of a storm and
mm.
just stay laser focused. So, and so many people just don't want to put in the time. They want to
Yeah.
be, I'm not going to name any names, but we know who all the famous people are who are on these reality shows and stuff. Nothing wrong with reality shows. I have some amazing friends that work on those shows as directors and producers, but it's this instant fame. You got to work hard, man. You just got
Yeah.
to work.
Yeah. Mm. Thank you. That's a little sermon for me, encouragement. Yeah, and what I'm doing to
Yeah,
just
get up every day
keep
to
at it.
perfect it, man. If you said you
Yeah.
wanted to write, so get up every
Mm,
day, read, watch documentaries, just get better. You have to do it every day. Just
mm,
because, like, hey, did you go to the, are you looking up on, are you working on a monologue? Are you doing a scene? Like, as an actor, you got to be doing it all day, every day. And I've always been like that. But no
mm,
one has that. They think, oh, I'll act when I get an audition.
mm,
No, man, you gotta, it's a craft that you're trying to
mm,
perfect. So if you get up every day
mm,
and just sit there and write,
mm,
eventually it's going to be great.
mm.
You just have
Amen.
to have the discipline. Most people don't.
Mm,
Those with the most discipline win, in my
mm.
opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, go for it,
Um,
man. I'm sure you're an amazing writer. No, seriously.
um, well, kind of turning to The Chosen. So it sounds like, you've kind of had this long running relationship with Dallas. And so I
Yes, sir.
assume that kind of when he started developing the idea, he probably, shared it with you. But kind of what got you interested? What made your specific character as Gaius kind of compelling and interesting to you as an actor?
Well, as I said, I've had one of the most loyal, if not the most loyal man I know is Dallas.
Mm,
And he always gave me the opportunity to play real human beings over the years in all of these
mm,
films where Hollywood primarily it was I played a lot of bad guys, a lot of murder and mayhem, so to speak. But I was always doing great stuff with Dallas. And then,
mm,
but The Chosen specifically, he just like he always does. He just called me and said, "Hey, I'm doing this. Are you interested?" And I always laugh, like, "Is that even a question?" And so, but I did audition
mm,
because it wasn't just him making the decisions, and
mm,
so I understand all that. And so I auditioned. I got the role. We did the 4 episodes, not knowing where it was going to go.
mm,
We all thought maybe that was going to be it. We
mm,
just started off teeny. There wasn't, trust me, it was very low budget and very
mm,
humble and just wonderful, though. It was about the work, as it always is for Dallas. But in terms of Gaius, you know, Dallas and I both don't like stereotypes.
mm,
We've both always been opposed to that notion. There is no such thing as a bad guy, really.
mm,
And what I mean by that is that no one, I think I could say this with certainty, I don't think anyone wakes up and thinks they're a bad person.
mm,
Everybody gets up and has a justified reason for why they do what they do.
mm,
And we can look at the most notorious figures in history. They didn't think they were doing anything wrong.
mm,
They believed in certain ideologies and principles, and they stood up for those. And then later we can say that guy was a madman or he's crazy, but
mm,
he thought, or she, focus on the men, he was doing the right thing. And
mm,
check this out. I always use this example too, which is it's intense, but to illuminate that point, how can a great kid, where do you live? I don't know if that's
Boston.
okay. How can a great kid from the Boston area go to boot camp
Mm,
for a month or two, get on a boat and go halfway around the world and go kill Germans?
mm,
how does that happen? What does that kid from Boston need to do to murder another human being?
Hmm.
There's going to be a German guy his age with a girlfriend like he's got back home,
Hmm.
with parents just like he's got. What makes a person do what they do?
Hmm.
He justified it. He justified it. They're going to take away my freedom. This Hitler guy is going to take over the world, and we're going to be in prisons, and my families are going to be tortured. And like, he believed that he had to kill Germans.
Hmm.
My point is, if we can justify murder,
Hmm.
we can justify just about anything and be okay with it. And I'm not saying those amazing war vets come back and they have challenges.
Hmm.
That's part of, I think, what PTSD is about, is like
Yeah.
when you just fully sit down with yourself, you're like, oh, man, you did what you had to do. But that's tough for the
Hmm.
psyche. And God bless all those men and women that have served over the years and still are. Uh, but they have a justified reason
Hmm.
for God and country,
Hmm.
for my family, in the name of I need to do these things.
Hmm.
So that's where Dallas and I always start. So back to Gaius, I have a job to do. And my first thought was, when I read that I'm guarding the tax booth and there's this kid named Matthew, I was like, if I worked with somebody 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, I would never be a jerk. If you read, it's funny because the character description said, they have these things called breakdowns and they do a little bit on the character. They talk about the character. Gaius was like, loves authority, loves power, loves dominance over
Hmm.
others, and he uses it. Has no friendship with Matthew, dominating. It was really funny, but of course, that's not the way we approached it. I was
Hmm.
from a human point of view, and as an actor, you connect to things. And the first thing I saw was the autism. Dallas has family members that have autism.
Hmm.
So my son, one of my son's best friends has autism. So I was
Hmm.
immediately struck by that. Like, I'm going to talk to them in a certain way based on
Hmm.
what I know of their character, those
Hmm.
people. So I'm going to bring that humanity to Gaius,
Hmm.
because Gaius is Kirk and Kirk is Gaius. There's
Hmm.
separation for them. I'm not some kind of weirdo. I'm just saying I bring in my sensibilities to the work, and that's what gets hired. A lot of
Hmm.
people audition for Gaius, and of course, knowing Dallas helped. But I'm just saying that's what gets hired, is somebody's sensibilities. It's your interpretation of World War II that will make a great story or a great script.
Hmm.
It's my interpretation of any character. It's my humanity. It's what would I do if I
Hmm.
were in this situation that you gave me as a writer? And I bring my humanity to that.
Hmm.
Not a stereotype of what a Roman centurion should be, or
Hmm.
a Nazi soldier, or anything else. What would I do if
Hmm.
I were a centurion and I was dealing with this quirky young man? How would I treat him? And
Hmm.
that's what I would do. I would treat him with humanity and
Hmm.
dignity. I'd be confused and annoyed. He would annoy the crap out of me at times, but still, I would approach it. So anyway, I'm sorry if I'm
Hmm.
going on and on. That's where we started, and I have to say, I had no idea. I still don't, until I
Hmm.
get the scripts. I had no idea in the beginning that Gaius would be where he is today, and season
Hmm.
4. For those of you who have seen it, so I learned it when I read the scripts. Dallas
Hmm.
doesn't tell me anything
Hmm.
ahead of time. So.
Yeah. Do you get the entire season's scripts and then okay?
Yeah. So
So
how much can we talk about season 4?
yeah, I'm just gonna assume, and if anyone's listening, spoilers. The season
Stop
4 is out.
listening.
Most people have.
Yeah.
You have the chance to watch it. So pause it if you haven't watched it, and
Right.
return back if. So yeah, you can talk about
What
season
I was
4.
saying is, when I sat down to, even in season 3, you're reading it like you would.
Mm-hmm.
It's this duality of, I'm the audience, but I'm also Gaius.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm clocking two things, like the profundity of something, but also, wow, what a journey. So like
Mm-hmm.
season 3, like the scene where I sort of befriend, I guess, Simon Peter. I was like, whoa. That's like 8 pages of dialogue, and which is a lot.
Hmm.
Wonderful, but I'm drunk a little bit, drinking a little bit, and we're going to tie fisherman knots, and you're like, wow, that just shocked me. And
Mm.
also, oh, I didn't know I had a family. Okay.
Mm.
Oh, I've got 2 kids. Oh, interesting. One of the kids is from the former maid, if you want to call it,
Hmm.
or uh, so wow, what happened there?
Mm.
Because I have a wife, so I have a child, and you get this information as an act servant, the servant woman.
Yeah.
I had Gaius had a child with the servant woman.
Yeah.
So what happened? Why did
Mm.
that happen? We're all human
Mm.
beings. We're all in and out of relationships or married or boyfriend, girl. Like, what happened in that situation? Because they're about the same age.
Mm.
So clearly something went down. So you get this information as an actor, and you just so the more I read of season 3, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much depth and humanity and things that I need to figure out as an actor, of course. So, but I was not prepared for season 4. There was a lot of rumor. I mean, I think in my heart, I knew on some level that my son is sick, the servant boy, and I kind of had a sense of where that was going. But man, okay, so we're at episode 2. I was like, ooh, okay. And then I read 3 and I go, oh, because I say no to Quintus. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm off the show. It's done. I'm
Mm.
going to go to jail forever.
Mm.
That's literally what I was thinking. I was like,
Mm.
okay, I guess that's it. That's it for Gaius. Because like I am disobeying orders that, and so it's not treason, but, dereliction and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. But when I sat there, when I started to read episode 4, and the first scene is that I become Praetor. First of all, the death of Rama, like, oh, and then that Quintus, my boss, did is like,
Mm.
oh my, what are these people? This is gonna torture people.
Mm.
And so that if that wasn't enough, I honestly thought I was off the show, but I read season that, and I was so floored. I had to take a knee. I've said it
Mm.
before, but it was like, I had to reread it like 3 times to make sure.
Mm.
There's no way I can replace Quintus. I'm a totally different person and a totally different. But anyway, there it was. That I never in
Mm.
a million years would have thought that that's where Gaius was headed. So now, yeah, I'm praetor of Capernaum, and then of course I asked Jesus to heal my son, and now they're all well. Like we'll see what happens next. But yeah, it's intense because you don't
Wow.
know. I didn't know. Dallas didn't tell me, so I don't know. So I'm reading every episode, going, "Oh my, holy, no way, no way." And
That's
you just
crazy. I didn't realize that you didn't have like any like I get like season to season that you didn't know stuff, but yeah, that's cool that you got to kind of experience the story, as viewers were experiencing it, and kind of that shock of the beginning of episode 4 and well and the end of episode 3. Yeah.
which I love. That's I have to
Mm.
say, as frustrating as it is sometimes, because you want to know. Guys didn't know.
Mm.
So if
Mm.
Dallas told me in the very beginning
Mm.
where Gaius was headed, that would have changed
Mm.
might have changed how I did certain things.
Mm.
Because Gaius definitely takes a journey, one of his allegiance to Rome,
Mm.
that slowly and gradually starts to get challenged. You take
Mm.
a sacrament with Rome, like a sacrament. It's like
Mm.
a contract. And
Yep.
Gaius is teetering on, and eventually basically does by saying no to
Hmm.
Quintus. I'm betraying the contract.
Yeah.
And so that was a slow progression that
Mm.
happened organically as a result of just getting the material as we went,
Mm.
which was great for
Yeah.
me because then you don't project and
Mm.
you're just living in every episode, every season. Okay, and you just wonder,
Mm,
you just can't wait to get the scripts, and you okay, what's gonna
mm.
happen now?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I was curious, like how you kind of were able to just very gradually with Gaius show his change over the seasons. Because some characters they have like kind of a single episode, and once they were one way and now they're another way.
Another,
But
yeah,
Gaius, like we've got four seasons to get him to that point. So it sounds like a lot of it is kind of going through it with the character
yeah,
as they're experiencing things. You don't
yeah,
have like kind of a sense of where things are going. You're just experiencing it
yeah.
as they are.
And I remember one time, Jonathan, who I've known over a decade now,
Hmm.
I came into the makeup trailer one, maybe it was season 2 or 3, and I don't know. I was getting my makeup. He goes, I think I know where Gaius is going. And I go, I don't want to know. Don't tell me. Don't tell me,
Hmm.
because I just wanted to be as pure. He had a maybe Dallas told him. I don't know, but he
Hmm.
had a hunch. I didn't even want to know what that hunch
Hmm.
was because I guess I'm pretty extreme that way. I
Hmm.
just wanted to take as organic a journey as possible,
Hmm.
and it's been a privilege of a lifetime, honestly.
Hmm. I suppose it's kind of like appropriate for the Jesus character to have a sense of where all things are going for all the other characters.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah, for sure. And we all know where we're going
Hmm.
in this story, but the
Yep.
nuances of certain things you're never sure about.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's been great, and God willing, we've got season 5, 6, and 7
Hmm.
ahead of us. So God, who knows where everything? Well, I mean, we know basically, but each character's arc, where do they go? What happens next? What
Hmm.
do they do? It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out.
So I'm curious because season 4, kind of where it ends with Gaius, the Jesus and the disciples, they journey to Jerusalem, and it seems like kind of the action is shifting there naturally.
Yeah,
Whereas like Gaius remains in Capernaum. He's got his duties as
correct.
magistrate, and I know you probably can't give a lot of details, but is your character like kind of continuing on even though the kind of the center of the story has shifted out of
Yes, sir.
Capernaum?
Yeah, I don't think that would be. Yeah, I mean, I am in season 5, but you're very smart and accurate. And Dallas has said it. Season 5, all 8 episodes in real time is 1 week.
Wow.
It's Holy Week.
Hmm.
So they're in Jerusalem.
Hmm.
That's where we left off with Jesus
Yep.
going in on the donkey. And he said that publicly, so that's not a
Hmm.
spoiler. It's
Yep.
Holy Week. He's also said season 6 is the crucifixion,
Yep.
which is supposed to be one day. All 8 episodes is one day.
That's
And
gonna be
then
crazy.
season 7 is the resurrection. He said all those things, so none of that's a
Yep.
spoiler. So yeah, you're right. I mean, clearly, I'm a praetor of Capernaum, not of Jerusalem. But yeah, I'm there. But
Okay.
uh, clearly things are shifting, and I'd be interesting to see where Gaius keeps on going. Certainly with what
Hmm.
the parameters that I just described.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it
Have
pans
you
out.
already have you already finished filming for season 5 or?
No, I'm leaving shortly to go down to Midlothian, Texas, to shoot my stuff for season 5.
Cool.
So I'm looking forward to that. Been preparing, of course, to do my stuff, which I'm really looking forward to. So I can't wait. I love what I do as an actor, and being on a Dallas Jenkins set is the best set you could ever be on.
Hmm.
And I'm not just saying that. I've
Hmm.
been on major Hollywood sets, big films, Spielberg twice, Clint Eastwood, and all this stuff. But a Dallas Jenkins set is just great people, great stories, and a healthy environment. And it's always been
Hmm.
that way. So it really is a great place to go to work.
Is there anything like kind of in particular about kind of the environment or kind of the ethos that that you think makes it distinct or?
Well, it all starts from the top, right? Dallas
Mm,
has a great sense of actors who aren't going to be divas
mm,
to begin with. He
mm,
has a great sense of somebody who cares about what they do, who
mm,
loves what they do, and basically are good people. So
mm,
he has good sensibilities on what
mm,
a person's character.
mm,
Sometimes, with all the stuff he's done, you not mistakes, but things shift, or who knows how they go. But that's
yeah.
where it starts.
Mm,
So it really says a lot about his values, his ethics, his
mm,
morals. And so then he looks for actors like that. So he sets the tone. So that means that everybody that gets hired, from the
mm,
producers to the crew to everybody else, is going to be about of the same ilk.
mm,
So you have a bunch of good people trying to make good content. And it's
mm,
been like that for 25 years. It's just
mm,
now the world is watching. Before they weren't,
mm,
but he's the same guy.
mm,
And he has this great, I forgot when it started, but he doesn't say action. He
mm.
says, "Here we play."
Huh. Do you
And
know
then
the?
the first AD, Adam, actually calls the action because background needs to start and we need to know officially. But before that, he's like, "All right, here we play."
Huh.
And so that in itself sets a tone of playfulness.
Mm,
Of the other great thing about him is he listens. You come with ideas.
mm,
What people don't understand about movies, maybe they do, those that know filmmaking. I started in the theater, right? You got 6 weeks to rehearse a play. You don't
mm,
get 6 weeks in a movie.
mm,
You show up. People think, oh, okay, you must practice it out there, and then you come over and you figure out everything, and then you come and you shoot it. No, no, no. It's figured out that day.
uh,
So you have a bunch of artists. You have a director who comes in with his idea. You have a
mm,
DP, a Keys in this case, comes in with an idea. Then you have your actors. Everybody comes in and collaborates,
mm,
and you have ideas. And so I've done things in Dallas, like good, but I was thinking, I was like, really, why do you think that? And so you just okay. And
mm,
then blocking, we're gonna walk. I thought we were just sitting. No, it's a walk. Oh, okay. And you figure it out
mm,
on the spot. And so Dallas is just open.
mm,
He's ready to play. He trusts his actors. He listens to his actors and his
mm,
DP and those around him. So it's a collaboration. So you don't feel like
mm,
you're in a dictatorship or something. You're not being told what to do. Your interpretation is welcome.
mm,
So I show up with ideas, and some of them work, some of them don't work.
mm,
We challenge each other on certain things. I don't know, man. I don't, and we try this, which he says
mm,
you're right, or I say no, you're right. You're right. That was better.
mm,
And that's the beauty. And then they take all those good pieces and they edit it down, and then you see the scene, and you think it was like intended that way. It was like, no, you did it
mm,
30 times and change this and change that,
mm,
and then they edit it together, and it looks all fantastic.
mm.
So I think that's what Dallas does. All those things.
Yeah. Mm. That's really, yeah, really beautiful picture. And like as I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about The Chosen. It almost feels like the way that Dallas and the team has portrayed Jesus and his disciples. It almost seems like they're kind of injecting that culture or that ethos into how kind of Jesus leads the disciples, and especially like kind of in contrast with like how like Quintus is very like domineering and oh, it's really
Yeah, every character and I want to go back to something really quick. Nobody wakes up and thinks they're a bad person.
mm,
But here's what I believe. If you don't have a good antagonist,
mm,
your hero doesn't look that good.
yeah,
If you have an antagonist who's charming, who
mm,
you go, I kind of get his point or her point. Okay, well, I kind of like that person.
mm,
That makes for a good story because then when the hero wins, I don't know if you can see both hands, when the hero
yeah, yeah,
wins, he's stronger than this. So this, the antagonist has to be equally strong, equally as charming, equally has an amazing point of view, and a point of view that you can understand. Dostoevsky, the great Russian novelist, did that beautifully. He was like, you read this character, Crime and Punishment, and you go, well, I understand why he wants to murder. And then you'd read this guy and you go, well, I understand why he's so that makes for a great story. That's if I'm using the word properly, sort of the ethos is. So you got to have all those elements, or you got nothing. The hero is not gonna, is going to look weak. Like he didn't have to go. I mean, get above, and he didn't have to up his game to win. So anyway, you got to make everybody human, and likable and believable in some way. I believe, and that's when you have great cinema, great theater, a great commercial, a great industrial. It doesn't matter. It's got to be balanced.
Yep. Yeah. No, it creates the tension, creates that. Elevates the hero as well. Yeah, I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, that's what makes a good story. So you can never vilify anyone. So going back to the way I approach characters in Dallas, no one wakes up and thinks they're bad. It's if you vilify somebody, then you dismiss them. You cannot make your antagonist dismissible. It won't work. You got to see their humanity and understand their point of view. Whether you agree with it or not is ultimately what the story is about, but it's going to be different. That's what drama is. You believe this and I believe that, and then we duke it out. And who's going to win? That's interesting. That's compelling. That's great storytelling. Any character that's weak, you dismiss them. So he just doesn't believe in any such thing as a weak character. Doesn't matter what the character is.
Yeah.
They're all justified in why they do what they do. So
yeah, I like with Gaius, even like in some of his areas of weakness, like his infidelity. In season 3, I'm remembering back, and we get kind of a sense of like his kind of self-justification that he held on to, that led him into that. And kind of the complexity of his character, and kind of trying to feeling pulled between that kind of self-justification and kind of maybe his other kind of moral sense, or the things that he's contemplating because of his interaction with the disciples. So
I have to say this though, it's such a, and I hope I'm not going to get in trouble for this, but we don't know what goes on in a couple, right? We don't know the specifics. It's so easily to assume that Gaius was unfaithful. What if his wife was first, for example? We don't know that story.
That's true.
So there again, going back to everybody has a justified reason. I do say I regret what I did with my wife, and I most certainly do.
Yeah.
We just don't know the circumstances. I have my understanding. I have my interpretation of what happened, and I actually talked with Hannah about that. Like just how we were both seeing. We didn't get to talk about it much in season 3, but in season 4 we did. So it's just, and that's a perfect example. It's just so easy to assume that the guy did it. Like, wait a minute, the ladies can do some bad stuff too. So what happened there in the Gaius household that led to that situation? 8 years ago, we don't know. Maybe my wife her name is Livia. Maybe she just left, said, I don't want to be married anymore. Okay. We don't know. Like, again, I have my, that I'll keep private, but I have my understanding of it. But again, we can't judge. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what really goes on when two people go home. So you always, as an actor, you have to I always try to, as an actor, make the most noble, acceptable choices that work for Kirk Waller. then I'm never acting out an idea. I'm always telling something that I can believe.
Yeah. No, I totally, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I'm sure is part of, I don't know, Gaius as a character. Yeah, he always feels like he has that sense of dignity,
Yeah.
even when, he is also struggling with, shame or regret or
I
guilt.
think that I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't want to forget this. When I look at a character, I always think, how can you describe that character simply? And to me, Gaius always wants to do the right thing.
Mm.
Gaius always wants to be fair.
Hmm.
And that's a big driving force for the character of Gaius.
Hmm.
So, so if that's his mentality, then yeah, stuff happens.
Hmm.
But yeah, I thank you for saying that. I always want to bring a sense of decency
Hmm.
and morality to anything I play, so that you can relate to me
Hmm.
as the character, whether I'm the antagonist, evil guy or not. I will not see myself that way, but there's no question I did things that I regret, and I literally say it. I'm not worthy.
Hmm.
Like, there's that one line, and it's like, "You do not know the things I have done."
Hmm.
That was a very. I thought about that line a lot. Like,
Hmm.
what exactly have I done
Hmm.
as a Roman centurion? What what have I done that I
Hmm.
don't feel worthy for a whole variety of reasons? So yeah, it's we can all relate to that, and we don't wake up feeling bad, but then we do bad things sometimes. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
with the best intentions,
Hmm.
unless you're a sociopath or a psychopath, and that's a very small percentage of the population.
Yeah. So I'm curious, kind of as you look back on the past 4 seasons of the show. Yeah. What do you feel like? What's kind of been, yeah, just the most kind of rewarding, maybe the most rewarding aspect of rewarding moment for Gaius's character, and what's kind of been one of the more like would have been the like kind of the challenges.
Yeah, you're gonna hate me. I'm horrible at the best event. Like, I don't have a
Oh,
favorite color.
that's
I
okay.
don't have a favorite, but no. But I'll address it. I'll mention a few things. I'm just not good because my son, like, when he was younger, oh, when he's done with the twos, it's going to be so much better. I never, or this age or that. Oh, thank God he's at. Like, I loved every stage, and I still do. He's
Hmm.
16, so
Hmm.
I don't really have favorites.
Hmm.
If backed into a corner, I might have an answer. I think what's rewarding and amazing to me is that I've been humbled and blessed and privileged to be a part of this story, the
Hmm.
greatest story ever told.
Hmm.
Yeah, it just gets me, choked up when I think about that. Like, if you have to tell a story, this is a good one.
Hmm.
And to play a character, I had this. Hopefully, I can say this, but
Hmm.
so when season 4 came out in the movie theaters, my wife and I, and my son, we went to go watch it. My
Hmm.
son had never seen me on the big screen, and nor had my wife, so it was fun to do. But for episode 8, we went to a movie theater, and there weren't a lot of people there. It was in Glendale, and we were sitting there, and there were some people scattered about. And at one point in the episode, this older gentleman sitting, I don't know, 4 or 5 rows
Hmm.
in front of us goes, "Jesus Christ!" really loud. I was like, "Whoa!" And so it made me laugh so hard. I was like, "Wow." When we were leaving, we kind of walked out at the same time, and he was an older gentleman. He just kept on staring at me, and he was trying to put it together,
Yeah.
and he was just staring at me, and then he just walked away. And some other people recognized me. We chatted a little bit. That
Hmm.
gentleman came back, And he said, uh, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was talking to somebody and I saw him back and I said, how are you, sir? And he says, you know, I'm a priest and I've been doing homilies for my entire life. And I will never be able to say that part. He was a priest, a Catholic priest. That part of the sermon that every Sunday where I'm not worthy to receive you. Just say the word and I will be healed. You know, all that is, and it's, and so he said, I will never, ever be able to say that without thinking about you and what you did. And I just was like, I really, wow, okay, thank you. I hadn't thought about that, but wow, thank God I didn't know that before I shot those scenes. Or I didn't process that. I try not to think about that kind of stuff. That was so deep and so touching to me. And I think he said, Jesus Christ, because bad stuff was happening to Jesus and he just blurted it out. Anyway, yeah, so to be in the greatest story ever told, to be that guy, literally the privilege of a lifetime. I've been doing this a long time and I'm humbled, honored, blessed. Yeah, it's a privilege of a lifetime. That's just the easiest, the best way to say it. It's an honor. Very humbling.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing kind of about your experience working on The Chosen and all that you've kind of brought to that. Before we wrap up, I did notice that you've mentioned how you've been in all of Dallas's stuff, and it looks like you're also in his upcoming The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. I didn't know if you wanted to share anything about that or.
And I want to say too, thank you for asking me all these questions. I don't typically like talking this much. I'm pretty quiet and private. I would love to know more about you. I tried a little bit in the beginning, so thank you everyone out there for listening and watching me sort of prattle on. I appreciate that. The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. Dallas has been trying to get the rights to make this film for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
He prayed about it every week for 15 years because he read the book. I think Amanda, his wife, found it at, I want to say, Pottery Barn. It was a book, Best Christmas Pageant Ever. He was with the kids. She was with the kids. And I don't know, she was at the checkout. And so she bought it. And they went home. And the story goes, there's a little, whatever it's called, Instagram thing about them talking about it. Dallas started reading it, or she did. I think Dallas started reading it, and then he just couldn't stop crying with joy. And it's like, he handed it to Amanda. She started reading and started crying. And the kids are just like all looking at each other like, what the heck is going on with our parents? So he's loved that story. And I'm telling you, man, I hope it's a Christmas classic. It is a heartfelt story, basically about the herdmans, the worst kids the world has ever seen, and they invade on a church. I play the reverend of that church, and we have this annual Christmas pageant, which is about the story of Mary, Jesus, and the baby, and the whole thing. And these wild, crazy kids basically hijack and take over that story, and you can probably imagine just where that leads. It's just gonna rekindle your faith in goodness and in good things, and I think it's going to be very fun too and funny. Dallas had a really great vision with it. He wanted to be a little Home Alone. That was part of it, and a whole bunch of other elements, including visually. Oh God, what is his name? I just thought of it. Wes Craven. Wes Craven always shoots very linear and balanced. And so that was one of the things he wanted. So everything is balanced. Remember, it's in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. I'm at one point at my pulpit and I'm talking and the microphone is here. I was talking sometimes and I would lean over and after the takings to try to stay right in the center of that microphone, because he wanted it to be linear. So when you look at the shot selection, so I think it's going to be very pleasing. Maybe most people won't even notice it,
Yeah.
but I think it's going to be very pleasing visually
Hmm.
and stylized in a way, but also timeless
Hmm.
as well. So yeah, that was such a blessing. I'm
Hmm.
just so honored to be a part of that film too. You know, it's like it's great, and it's a Christmas. I hope it's going to be a Christmas classic that not just Christian families, but everybody can enjoy, and they put it on every year, like you put on
Hmm.
Elf
Hmm.
or all the other
Yeah.
classics and greats. I hope this becomes one of them.
I
Wonderful
just
Life.
sorry. I saw the trailer just recently, and yeah, it totally gave me kind of that vibe of the Home Alone, the Christmas Story, like those Christmas classics of the where there's the fun and kind of the zaniness, but also kind of that heartfelt goodness and generosity and
The deep,
yeah.
it has a really deep meaning
Mm,
and will really make you think about what it means to follow Jesus and love
mm,
Jesus. And I think it will rekindle what it
mm,
really means.
mm.
It'll be a
Yeah,
beautiful reminder.
it does look like there's a little bit of overlap of like with the chosen, like kind of that ethic of welcoming in kind of the least likely
Yeah,
the 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 person who says that they feel unworthy yeah.
correct.
Mm,
So the Herdman kids are not worthy, right?
mm, yeah.
So yeah, but you see those are beautiful stories of redemption, of
Mm,
renewal, of
mm,
renewed faith and what something really means. We can get so caught up in dogma and people
mm,
and politics,
mm,
and there's a message. There's what Jesus had to say, in my opinion, is what's just so great about the chosen. How can you
mm,
not like? Who on earth doesn't think you should put others before yourself?
mm,
You tell me any nationality, creed, or color that
mm,
everyone kind of goes, yeah, that's a pretty good way to live.
mm,
To forgive and to accept doesn't, like these are timeless messages.
mm,
And I think that's part of the power of the chosen is that
mm,
the world is reminded maybe, we could do a better job
mm,
as human beings in all of our facets of life, a better husband, a better father, a better boyfriend,
mm,
a better girlfriend, like just live with
mm,
integrity
mm, mm. Amen.
and decency. Yeah, amen, man. That would be awesome if the world
Mm,
would do more of that. Of course, I know it sounds altruistic, oh, but it's there is truth to it.
mm. Yeah, no, definitely. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Kirk, for giving us your time. And yeah, I've already, just as we've been talking, benefited so much from, your words of encouragement on, sticking with things and just putting in the work and, all that you've said about the show, obviously. Thank you so much. Um,
I just want to encourage you to do it, man.
mm,
You told me that you're aspiring writer, right?
mm, yeah.
Right. I want to know what you're doing. I want to
Mm,
see what you can bring to the world.
mm,
And if anything, I would love to, not me personally, but inspire you. Go for it, man.
mm,
Go for it. I admire
mm,
anybody who gets up anywhere in the world and spends their day
mm,
trying to be creative and
mm,
make something of value to show what you're doing. All these things are of value. So thank you for
mm.
all that you do and keep going, man. And anybody out there listening, you know, I'm just a working actor, but we all started somewhere. You might see me
Mm,
now and think, yeah, no, but I've been at this a long time. And so
mm,
you just have to so go,
mm,
go, conquer
mm,
one day at a time, one moment at a time.
mm. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Well, yeah. Thanks again, Kirk, and thanks
Thank
for
you.
everybody for listening. Yeah, and if you haven't already, season 4 has been, minor spoilers, but go enjoy it because it's an amazing ride and
Yeah,
lots
it's on
of
the app,
interesting.
by the way, now. It's all on the
Yes.
app. You can watch it for free. Eventually, I think it's going to be on YouTube. And I know that Netflix and Prime, I can't even keep up. Apple,
Yeah.
like everybody is streaming it. The CW,
Yeah.
I think, picked it up again as well. So it's all over the place. So please, yeah, go watch and be transformed.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you for having me, sir. It's been a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirk.
Cheers.
And thanks everybody for listening.
God bless.